You guys do it.
And you're live, buddy.
All right, what is happening, y'all? Another episode of Cold Beer and Whitetails. We're back at it again, man. You can tell from the title, we're talking public land scouting, deer hunting. What number am I on? 7?
This is 7.
7. I'm on 7, man. We're keeping it rolling, boys. We got to keep it rolling at this point. I got my best friend, Kyle Neese, here. We call him Cheese. We can get into that story at a different time, or we can get into it now. But I'm going to tell a little bit about you, and then you can introduce yourself to the people. But Cheese and I have been best friends since we were both probably 16 years old. We grew up playing high school football together, and Cheese he got me into hunting to begin with. I started hunting waterfowl with him, and he talked me into going to getting a Remington 12 gauge 870 Express and getting waders and doing all this stuff. And then before you know it, I was balls deep into hunting ducks with Cheese, and then that one thing led to another about how much I love being in the field and deer hunt, or I love being in the field and hunting ducks. And then as soon as I moved up to Illinois, it was a no-brainer. I still hunted ducks when I moved up to Illinois. Don't get me wrong, by the way. You probably don't think I did. I did. I killed teal in September with my boy Steve Dickman, and I'm going to tell you this. I regret being out there, had more mosquito bites on me than a dude in Vietnam. And we did come back with a bunch of teal, and he was like, "This man, that was awesome." And I was like, "Dude, I had a blast." And I had to look at him right in the eye, and I'm like, "I love you, but I don't think I'll ever do this with you again." He's like, "Did you not have a good time?" I'm like, No. I had a great time. It's just the way that's a lot of work for a little amount of meat. You know what I mean? No, Cheese got me into into duck hunting, which obviously led to me being in the field and wanting to do deer hunting. We've been deer hunting together for the last 3 or 4 years. He would come up once a week for the rut, and we would hunt deer during the rut, and so I mean we've had a lot of hunting experience together, man. And we shoot bows together all the time. If you follow my channel on the shorts, he's the guy who's popping balloons, doing sake races. The people love him on the shorts, man. You get that big gut hanging out, baby. People love that, dude.
Mexican food, baby.
no, no, dude, but no, man. I appreciate you being on here, man. And obviously, we're going to get into the topic itself. But, dude, introduce yourself. Tell me about all of your hunting experiences. You've hunted with your brother growing all the way up, and then tell me about all your hunting experience, and then tell me about your deer hunting experience.
All right. So I'm Kyle or Cheese. Grew up here in Oklahoma and didn't really hunt a whole lot until I was in high school ish. Uh, I went out with one of my buddies and his dad to duck hunt for the first time, and was pretty
Who'd
much
you go with?
Zach,
Okay.
and was pretty much hooked from there on hunting wise. Um, did a lot of duck hunting. Senior year, junior, senior year, I bought a bow. I was actually able to bow hunt. Um, did that for one season.
You didn't kill anything then.
No, I had the only time I had a deer in front of me was we were hunting and I moved locations.
This is in high school?
Yeah, and I sat on a telephone pole and I was probably 8 foot off the ground. And
where are you hunting at?
Ooliga.
Who are you hunting with?
Rosa, Jesse,
I got you.
Zach.
You all went out there with your bows.
Yeah,
Okay.
On one little stretch of property.
Okay.
And I didn't see anything the night and the morning of, so I moved my stand to the back of the land on a telephone pole, and I sat there, and about sunset, a little six came out about 20 yards, and I'm telling you, my heart was thumping out of my chest, and I was like, I can't move because I have no cover. I'm sitting on a telephone pole.
You got your old sack about like this.
And the deer just walks out past the bush and goes, looks at me. I'm like, oh, dang.
Busted.
Yeah. I was like, at least I know what it feels like now to
Turn
have
around
something in front of you.
Run away. Yeah.
Actually, no, he didn't run away. He just walked because I didn't move or anything.
So
he just continued walking the direction.
That's the best when you don't startle them like that.
Yeah. And that's where all the rest of the guys were hunting was that way. So I figured if I don't move and spook them, maybe one of those guys could have a chance on them. but yeah, I did a lot of duck hunting, and then picked the bow back up whenever you were in Illinois, and you're like, "Hey man, come out. You got a bow? You can come out here and hunt with us."
Oh yeah.
So the first year out there, you had to work that week.
That's right. I
So
forgot about that.
you gave me the climber, and
Oh man.
pretty much I had free range of
Yeah, yeah.
the property because everybody else was working that week, and it didn't seem like anybody really
No.
was on the property. And then last year or 2 years ago was whenever we really hit the farm hard.
Yeah.
And then this past year, I think was our most successful
Oh yeah. It was.
because we had a lot more deer in front of us.
Ton.
But it was there is a story opening the first morning I got there.
Oh yes. This is
Drake went to, it was St. Louis Pride Night.
Oh my
So
god.
he went to the game, and I went and bought my license and my tag, and met back at the house. Got up and went out there.
I want to put more context before you keep going on the story.
Sat.
It was no. Hold on. I have to stop. We're gonna get right back up in the story. It was the Reds versus the Cardinals, which is why I was there, and it happened to be Pride Night. I just want everybody to know that I was not there celebrating Pride Night.
You're such a bigot. But we went and sat out, and it was a gorgeous morning.
It was a gorgeous morning.
We had the fog rolling in.
We had the decoy out.
We had the
We had the
decoy
decoy
out,
out.
the fog rolling in off the Ohio River, and
Yes.
we saw, I don't know, 3 or 4 doe come out and were spooked at the decoy. They didn't want to get within 60.
Nope.
So we let them.
We weren't
walk.
worried about them though.
No,
we were
weren't.
not there for
And-
doe.
No, and we let them walk, and we started rattling and rattling. And
Rattling like a son of a bitch
we
too.
sat, rattled, and then sat and rattled. He's like, "Well, hey, let's not waste this morning. If nothing's coming, let's see what we can."
Which is what time is this? About 9:30.
9:15,
9:30, yeah.
9:30.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, let's get down and let's see if we can't stir something up this late. And Drake drops his bow, and I start climbing down.
You get all the way down.
I get halfway down, and Drake goes, "Don't move."
You're on the last ladder. You're on the last.
I'm close.
Yeah, you're close. Yeah.
But Drake shoots left-handed. I'm right-handed. Drake's bow's on the ground. My bow's in the tree. And
your bow was in the tree.
Drake says, "Don't move." So I'm just sitting there hugging the tree. He's like, "Turn your head. Look at that buck." And I can't move.
He
'cause
couldn't turn. And at that point, when you finally turned, he scampered off.
But it was a big old.
Oh, it
buck.
was a dandy. It was a dandy. And I just was, dude, we were kicking. You were like, you weren't nearly as upset as I was. I wish I was literally in your
Only
position.
because I didn't see it.
see it. I would have literally loved to have not seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, all morning, I was like distraught. You're like, man, it's all right. We got plenty of time left. I'm like, geez.
We just missed the
I'm
shooter
like,
that we
"Geez,
wanted
we
to
just
shoot."
missed a giant, brother. Like an absolute swamp donkey. Like,
Without a doubt. And, even though you might miss them opportunities,
yeah.
it's always, and this is how I see hunting, is a learning experience every time you go out, whether it's something big, small, whether it's timing wise, whether it's anything. I always
Something to
try to
learn.
take something from each and every hunt to learn.
Yep.
Whether it's, like that same trip, we went back to your house for a day.
Yeah.
And then we came back out to the farm, and I left my keys,
Oh, that was hilarious.
and all my
you
gear,
weren't laughing about it.
all my
but
gear
yeah.
was locked in my truck or
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my trunk.
Yeah, when you hunt, stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah,
You're right,
so-
Cheese. It's
so
just gonna
every
happen.
time- that's how I take hunting, is I try to go out and
No,
have
yeah.
a good time.
No,
learn.
Yep.
But-
That's a good mentality to have. That's honestly, you've kind of. I wouldn't say I ran an apprenticeship through you, but you've taught me a lot about hunting in the sense of not necessarily taught me a lot about like the schemes of how to get in front of big deer, but the mentality you got to have because, dude, to be honest with you, you get your ass kicked most of the times. I heard an old man say this to compliment your point. I heard an old man say this when I was in Illinois. He's like, he's talking about the deer. He said, the deer, they got to get it right every time. You know how many times we got to get it right? Once. And he's like, so if you mess up, pull yourself together. Your next opportunity could be your next opportunity. Or if you still are dwelling in it, you've ruined your next opportunity dwelling about the last one. And with deer, it's even more profound because not to say it's not like that with duck, but there's so many of them. Yeah. There's so many of them. You get a lot of opportunities. There are days where birds aren't flying, this, that, and the other. But like, if you're hunting mature whitetail, that's what I'm saying. Not just deer, mature whitetail deer. I should also be more specific when I say it. I'm talking about hunting mature whitetail deer. When you ruin an opportunity like Cheese is talking about, you just got to have the mentality of knowing, hey, there's another day. It's going to be okay.
And you can't. Dwelling on it is not going to help you unless you learn something from that mistake.
Well, think about how much we did learn something from our mistake.
Yeah, we're going to be sitting a little bit longer.
We'll stay a little bit longer, but I still dwelled the rest of the entire day.
Yeah,
there was not 1 minute where I was sitting there for the rest of the day and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, we missed it.
Yeah. No, you've had a good hunting experience between hunting with your brother and bow hunting a little bit in high school, but it was like, man, you didn't know shit.
Yeah, and
you just don't know nothing. Not to insult, like you just don't.
No,
you don't know what
I just didn't. Yeah,
yeah, you still don't know.
And that was the thing with you being in Illinois and me here. I would always be sending you pictures of spots that I had scouted and asking you where you think best stand locations or what I should be looking for. Because I wasn't raised deer hunting. I didn't know what to look for. I didn't know what type of terrain to be looking at. I was kind of those first 2, even 3 years now, still honing the craft of the scouting process of, because I didn't have that private land, even like I'm not saying private land where you.
No, you're just saying you didn't have the accessibility to it at an easy manner. You would have to go completely out of your way.
And I would be going like 1.25 miles in to these public land spots.
It's funny you're talking about this. So, a good introduction. Glad you told us about your experience and who you are, because you're going to be on here a lot. So good. Thank you for introducing yourself. But it's a great moment to segue into the topic we're actually talking about, which is scouting public hunting land.
Yeah.
And which actually is not easy to do at all. No. And the more, I appreciate you telling me about just sending me pics about. I really do. I appreciate it when you send me pics. Hey, where would you hunt here? What would you do on this? And you take a picture. Do you think this is a scraper, or you think this is a scraper, just a random spot? Those things aren't easy, and I always tell you the only way to know is to continue to walk through the woods all the time. And honestly, when you don't have that access that you're talking about, you just got to go out of your way more, and you got to do it. Like, we're getting ready to do it here. That's why we're having this podcast. The topic in particular of this podcast is scouting public land deer. We're getting ready to either go probably next weekend or the weekend after. We don't know yet. We'll hammer it down, and we're not going to tell you the state park we're going to. Just know it's north of Tulsa, in between the Kansas border and Tulsa, and that's all I'm going to give you. I'm not going to tell you where it is. It's a massive chunk of land and public land, tens of thousands of acres, and so we're going to have to make about an 1.5 hour drive just to go scout it and to hunt it. Obviously, it's not just a scouting thing, it's a hunting thing, but to go that far out of your way, we'll e-scout some things. We'll get online, we'll look at our Onyx, and we'll look at oxbows, pinch points, all those kind of things before we get out there, so we think where we need to go. But the most important thing is not just thinking this one scouting trip set us up. We'll have to scout
multiple times. Most
people think, I've said this last time, I think it was either last time or maybe a couple podcasts ago, most people, oh man, I know I'm stepping on some toes, but it's okay. I do this every episode when I start doing this. I really do, and it's okay. I know I'm a controversial person, but it's okay. It's all right. I'll live with whatever criticism comes with it. It's just that most people who claim to be deer hunters are lazy. Like bow hunters specifically. I'm a bow hunter. Are you? Do you hunt bow hunting so you can say you hunt deer with a bow? Or are you a legit bow hunter?
Yeah.
Like, there's just a difference to me. And I can tell you real quick after talking with you. I'll ask you a few questions. I'll figure out if you really scout, if you know your bow that well, if you really hang trail cameras, if you really go out of your way, if you I mean, or picking ticks off your nipples. I mean,
5 days later.
yeah. By the way, that was me, guys. Anybody watching this, I did pick a tick off my nipple after being in the woods with Chad last week, and it was, 5 days later, that thing was nice and healthy, let me tell you. It's embarrassing to say this, but it did happen. I had my wife pull it off last week. She says, "Oh, my gosh, Drake," and pulls it off. And I'm like, yeah, that happens. But, no, I mean,
Let me grab a beer real quick.
Yeah, grab a beer.
Anybody else?
No, matter of fact, grab me one. You might as well. But, I mean, kind of going back on what I was saying that Cheese was talking about, hunting on public land, most people, to be able to kill a deer on public land is a very hard task. Obviously, it's harder than what we deem on private, only because I think the biggest detour for mature whitetail on public land is pressure and human scent. And the biggest thing that you can't control when you're on public land is other hunters. So you can do what you can do, and that's about it. Now, on private, you can own it a little bit more. You can be a little bit harsher on yourself with criticism. You can be like when we ruined that buck, like I was mad because it was like, that was ours. Yeah. It wasn't like Cool Joe down the way's got a chance at it now. No, like that was it, bro. Like it was like when he ran back that way, there was no other hunter. Like you remember you were talking about when you were out at Ulagal, you're like, oh, maybe that deer I pushed goes towards your boy. There was no other boys.
Boy, yeah.
There was no, that was it.
He was getting out of there.
He was that, and that was that. So there is a little bit of privilege that goes with private, but there's more ownership and scrutinizing criticism that goes with it too, because it's like, man, if you have all that and you can't get it done, fucking joke's on you, bro. You had 1,600 acres and you couldn't get it done. And then you hear about guys on public land going out there and getting it done. So, but let me ask you this. This is what I was going to ask you. What's the biggest thing you're looking forward to hunting public land and the big piece of property we're going to?
Well,
biggest thing you're looking forward to.
I would say the first thing is just seeing the good sign. Like I'm just ready to get back out in the woods. Well, after season's over, you have this lull of what do I do on the weekends, and and then the summer comes and you feel like, all right, it's almost here, but in these months, May, June, July, you get out there and you get your camera set up, you get the sign that you see, and hopefully that early season work really pays off for you.
Right.
You can find the sign, hang some cameras. Maybe it's just young bucks or a group of doe at the edge of a field gathering, or you see that, then you move your camera and then you get one picture of a monster.
Yeah.
Like, you obviously want to have them patterned a little bit better than that.
Yeah, well, but a picture's enough to compliment your point.
But with it being public land, you might only get one
picture. Yeah, I get what you're getting at. Yeah,
and
like that 10-pointer you got out in, I'm not going to say where, not far from here.
Yeah, but I was hunting that guy for 2 years, and I only got him on camera one time at 11:59, September 30th, the day before.
Yeah,
the day before season open. Mm-hmm. And you go out there and you grab my camera after that first morning, going out there and grabbing my camera and seeing, hey, there's a big boy that just walked by this 6 hours before then.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, all right, now this season has a completely different meaning.
But yeah, we all that off-season stuff. I was actually telling Chad, I see you got the mic. You wanted to say something. What do you want to say? No, what do you want to say? Say it with your chest.
Okay, here it is. They said you got a question from one of your viewers right now, a Steven Dickman.
Oh, my boy Steve. What up, Steve?
He said,
okay. My best worst hunt? And then what is my best hunt? Okay. Okay, I appreciate you chiming in. I thought you were going to say a slick comment. The way you smiled and brought that mic in, you gave me that look. I know you for too long. The way you brought that mic in, I thought, oh my gosh, what is he going to say?
Your best hunt would have to be opening day this year.
Yeah. Well, Steve probably knows that. But okay, all right, well, I'll answer the question because obviously it's, for everybody, not just Steve too. Steve, you're my boy. I love you. My best worst hunt might actually be the one that I was on with Cheese on the first day of rutcation where I rattled in a monster, and my boy was halfway down a deer stand, and my bow was on the ground. And it was like, we're laughing at it, but it was amazing to see the stud of the deer. I mean, I'm going to get a little bit more descriptive. This buck's balls were dragging the ground. That's how big he was. Like, he was a freaking swamp donkey, son.
I was also going to say, during that week, you also shot a doe at 36,
Yeah.
quartering away, and then you shot that buck. And broke off right in his front shoulder.
I still wouldn't say.
No, it was still a successful hunt because you got the doe down.
Yeah.
But after thinking about it, I would definitely say
Along with me and
yeah.
you. So that was my worst hunt, just because I saw how big of a buck it was. He was huge, and I watched his rear end swing around and run away. And then I would say my best hunt is, you just answered it, is opening day last year. I had an opportunity to kill a doe at 6:15, smoked her right in the pump house, and then I'd say 20 minutes later, I smoked a massive 8-pointer at 22 yards that I had patterned on camera. I've never had a deer patterned on camera. That was the first time I did. I had trail camera pictures of him that morning, and then I thought, all right, I'm going to go make a play on him. And I thought, no matter what, I'm going to see this deer tonight. I just hope it's light enough. And it literally played out just like I thought. He came in at last light. I could barely see the bubble, on my bow. Barely could see the bubble on my bow. I mean, you guys know that your bubble, can you imagine pulling that thing back and not seeing your bubble? Like, when I killed that buck, I could not see my bubble. I knew my pin was on him, and I knew my bubble was off because I'm like, I can't see.
That's when muscle memory comes
and
in.
I was like this, you're there. My brain said, you're there, let it go.
Yeah.
And I let it go. And sure enough, I hammered him. I got my dog out there, my buddy's dog, and we found it. But I want to say something. Sorry, Chad, and you can say something here on this too. But you made a point on all this off season. Steve, thank you for the question, by the way, brother. Love you. You made a point on all the off season scouting and doing all these things, and you hope they pay off. And this is when this, that, and the other. But there's a couple of guys I watch, which if there are people who are big deer hunters on here, they definitely know who it is. It's Mark and Terry Drury from Drury Outdoors. You probably don't know who they are, Chad, but they're I'm sure you do, Cheese. They're massive. You're just getting into it, but they're massive deer hunters in the industry and great ambassadors. But I heard Mark Drury say one time, they call him the deer doctor. I heard him say one time, this is when you kill them. And I was telling you that last week. When we were out there walking your land, I was like, we'll walk the land. I was like, I know this is a pain in the ass, but this is when we're going to kill them. And I'm like, and we hung a few cameras, but more importantly, this land we're going to go on, we're going to put more emphasis on probably the scouting priorities, the hanging of the cameras, on being where we need to be, because there's external factors of other people. There could be an hour and a half drive. We could forget our keys in our truck. Like, bro, there's shit that happens, bro.
It happens.
So but it makes it all the more easier when you know exactly where you're going, bro.
Yep.
Like, bro, you know exactly what you're. Yeah. This shit happened this morning. Bro, you're just going to that one tree. Remember we walked to that tree? It's different than when you park and you're like this. Pull up your Onyx. You're like, okay, where do you think we should go, bro? You're unprepared. You might as well. You know what you should have done? Slept in.
Hunting blind. Yeah.
Yeah, you're hunting blind. And dude, I've done that so many times, which is why I hunt completely different now, because I've truly reaped the rewards of what putting in the dividends has to offer.
Oh yeah.
You know,
and back duck hunting wise, you could scout early season and then kind of know where the water is, and then go in hunting blind and just expect ducks to be there. And then you can't really do that in deer hunting. So it's a little more methodical.
Yeah.
And like, you might not shoot as many ducks, but you're gonna see ducks flying, and you're gonna But like
sense.
Getting in deer, you show up late. Like, we've done it multiple times where we're like, hey, we need to be getting out of the truck with our shit on, walking to the stand.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, we probably should have been out here 30,
Wait,
40
yeah, we're watching the sunset. We're screwed.
Hour coming up. Yeah, and it's like, we shouldn't even be walking.
We shouldn't even be here. We're done. We're ruining. We're doing more harm than good.
Yeah, without a doubt.
No, I'll tell you. Okay, so going back to the question I asked you, I'm going to answer my own question, and it kind of incorporates a little bit of. I'm referring. I'm hollering back at you, Chad, but you don't really got to say anything on this. It's just more of a comment on your positioning and your privilege. That's the word I'll use. Um, and my privilege too, being able to hunt private land. Once you have 1,600 acres or 200 acres to hunt, and Chad, you say it all the time. You're like, I know where these deer are at. I know where they're at. I know where they do this, they do that, and that's good. But once that's up, it's up. Like what I'm trying to say is, once you've learned it, guess what? You've learned it. That's what I'm saying. So I'm going to going back to the question of what are you looking forward to the most. For me, it's a spontaneous ability to adjust on the fly. It's the camaraderie of being able to go camp together and drink beers until the night's fucking dark and then wake up early like, oh shit, I shouldn't have drank that much last night, and then get into the deer stand. Because I've had the privilege of sleeping in a warm bed and knowing exactly where I'm going to go and knowing exactly what the deer are going to do and knowing what time they're going to be there and knowing where they're going to go. And all those things are fucking awesome. Don't get me wrong. They're fun as hell. They're awesome to do. Don't get me wrong. But after having the privilege of doing that for 6 years, it's like, I'm looking forward to the ability to actually being able to prove that my skills aren't just what I feel they are, but like acted out. Like, I can't wait to kill them. I'm going to say this right now. We will kill a mature buck on that land. We will.
Oh yeah, and that's always been my thought process since picking my bow back up. Is you've hounded me at the beginning, the first 2 years. Is like, maybe you need to invest in a new bow. Is like, well, I got this, and I haven't shot anything with it besides a couple birds. I was like, I would like to put a deer down with this bow.
Yeah,
and
good goal.
I'd like to also be able to say that I have found and killed a mature whitetail on public land where the odds are stacked against you.
Oh, they are very stacked against you.
And like I remember last year where I was hunting, set up, been there since like 2.
Guy walked in.
And I was sitting there about 5:30. It was starting to sunset, and a guy is walking behind me within 30 yards with a crossbow, just crunching the woods, and having to whistle at him and be like, hey, I'm over here.
Well, you know what? That probably taught you that you weren't deep in enough.
No, yeah, I wasn't. And that was one of those close spots that I just wanted to try out because the beans had just been cut.
Yeah.
And they replanted it with wheat. And they had just started getting green. The wheat had started getting green. So I wanted to see what the changing dynamic around the edge of the field was.
Can't control other people.
No. And, I can't complain because my first year picking the bow back up, I did the exact same thing. I walked by people that were hunting.
I've done that too, by the way. And then I've had that done to me.
Yeah. So, it's a circle, and we're all going to do it. And it's,
we are.
Whether somebody's sitting, a quarter mile in and you're planning on going a mile and a quarter in or even further. It's like, well, you might be hunting this front acreage, but I'm trying to get to the back, and the only way to get through there
is to go through you.
And that's the problem with like public land is there might not be multiple ways of entrance and exits.
Yeah, for you to get to your access the way you need
your access, but you have to literally go through
certain areas,
the middle of the field to get to where you want to go.
Well, that's why scouting is important, is because eventually you'll need to start realizing, okay, somebody's probably going to be hanging here. And if I'm trying to get there, like you're saying, eventually you're going to need to be able to find an alternative access route, or just realize you can't hunt that area if somebody is there.
Yeah.
But we'll get to all that. I mean, we're also going to hang. I've got cell phone. I'm going to this university through my job where I'm going to get cell phone cameras. We're going to hang them out there. I'm going to put locks on them.
I got 5 of them, so
we're gonna scour that land.
Oh yeah,
like I promise you, if there's a swamp donkey out there, we're gonna fucking know about it.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and wonder what's going on. We're gonna find out. It's gonna be very cut, clear, and dry. But the reason why I'm that confident in saying that is that we're willing to put in the work. And I don't mean that in the sense that, like, man, you're pretty certain that you're gonna get. I'm going to get in front of a buck. because if every bit of my last energy's got to be spent on it, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I feel really excited about this year is, you know, the first 3 years of me hunting out here by myself or taking Nolan out is I'll be scouting and I see certain things and I'm like, all right, that's a good sign. Maybe I should. I'll hang a camera around here. I'll set up around here. Uh, and then going out with you, you'll pick up on different things than
Yeah.
what I see. So
Exactly.
that's another thing that I'm really looking forward to is just seeing what draws your eye
Yeah.
instead of what draws my eye.
Yeah. Well, what draws your eyes right now, I'll tell you this, one of the biggest learning curves I think that you got to get over, which is what I had to get over too, is you sometimes look at where you, and this is smart, it's smart and dumb. It's dumb smart. You're so smart, you're dumb. I'm being serious when I say that. It's like you think that deer should be here.
Yeah.
Deer probably should be here. Do you see deer shit, rubs, or scrapes? And if that answer is no, guess what? You don't need to be hunting there.
No.
It may look very deer-like, but guess what? Move the fuck on. You know what I mean? And some people get caught up in that, like, man, this is a good creek bank. Man, this is a nice setup. I'm gonna hang right here. I'm gonna let you. If you want to hang right here, that's totally fine. But answer me his question: why? And if you don't have answers, why? Like, I just want to know why you want to hang there. It doesn't mean that I think you're an idiot and you shouldn't hang there. But what I'm saying is that if you're gonna hunt in a certain area, tell me why.
Yeah,
tell
take the whole picture.
Give me a reason why. Like, tell me, there's scrapes right there, major beaten down trail pass, white oaks. We've got it leading to a bean field. Like, let me hear why. Like, if you can't give me a why, don't even be hunting there.
Yeah.
Just because it looks deer-like. I've done that a shitload, man. Like, matter of fact, I had more hunts that I haven't seen deer than I have, all because I thought this is where they should be.
Yeah.
Like, man, why aren't they here? Why aren't they here? And I'm probably educating them, too.
Yeah.
You know, I've said that over and over. We educate deer more than they educate us. You know what I'm saying? We try to act like we're all over them, but guarantee you, we're in their bedroom, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
in their living room.
yeah.
And I've been in that mistake where I've been like, deer should be here. Why? And I'll hang it and sit it a couple times and be like,
bro. Everybody does it.
I ain't seeing anything.
Everybody does it, dude. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do. It's not. You have to quite literally go until it hits you in the face, and you're like, I need to be right here.
Yeah.
That's the only way you keep going till where it hits you in the face. But another thing I'm looking forward to is seeing this little son of a gun try and kill a deer. You think he can do it?
I think he needs to tune up his bow a little, get a little more poundage, so that the deer ain't ducking his arrows.
What do you think?
Other than that, I think he
Are you ready?
I think I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I just want to know if you're like, if you feel confident enough to do that. I think he does.
I will say
he's ready to go.
Yeah.
He just needs you. I want you to get a setup. That's because when we go public land scout or hunting, I want you to be in a like, I can borrow my brother's stuff, but I want you to get that saddle, man, because that's what makes all the difference in these situations we're talking about. And he'll attest to it.
Yeah, and I want to just see how bad his knees are clapping together and his hands are.
Oh, he'll be nervous.
The first deer
No,
comes out.
he'll be
Trust
nervous.
me. I thought, just like I said, the first time I had a buck in front of me, I was sitting on that telephone pole, and I literally thought my heartbeat was giving me away. I didn't move, I didn't do anything, but my heart was thumping so much.
I will say the biggest thing that he's gotten his advantage is us in his ear, and he's going to hopefully shorten the learning curve. Like, your shot protocol, you think I'm joking around with you about those 4 steps, but you know how important they are, right?
Extremely.
And just tell me why. It's okay if you answer this wrong. Why do you think they're important?
Well, going back to like Army, you fall back on you fall back to your training. So if you don't think it through, and in the moment you're not going to think it through, you're going to get all flustered, and you're
perfect.
As you said, your heart rate, anxieties, and
perfect answer. That's what I wanted to hear. Because sometimes I know that you can make a good shot without working the process, and you can. And that's awesome. But what's more important is that when there's a 10-pointer in front of you, if you can't control your thoughts when you're shooting off your patio, you're definitely not doing it with a 10-pointer in front of you.
100%.
That is true. I'm not lying about that. Like, and I can attest to that because I've gotten buck fever, and then I've been a stone cold killer. We're like all the way through to where my arrow broke off the string, and as soon as it broke off the string, I was like dead deer. Like, there's a difference in that, and then there's a difference in hoping and wishing.
Well, and it's also like whenever 2 years ago, whenever me and you were sitting on that corner stand on the bean field,
Yeah.
and I shot at at a doe like 2 days before.
Yep. And the spike came running through.
And then the spike was chasing her.
That dog and that doe.
And you were like, get your bow, pull back, shoot.
Yep.
And I was
trying to pull back.
I was trying to rush, or I felt rush, but I was not on time.
The moment was moving as quick as I was. This is great. I'm glad we're talking about this. Sometimes you don't realize the moment will be
past you before you're ready for it.
Yeah, and that's where, like, I said a quote to you one time. There's this baseball player. His name's Jim Thome, okay? And I said this to you before. I saw him hunting whitetail. He's a huge whitetail hunter. And he played for the first base for, Cleveland Indians for years. And I heard Mark Jury talk about this. He said, I was hunting with Jim Thome. Some of the best advice I ever got was from him. And I thought, from Jim? And I thought, what? I mean, I understand he kills big deer, but I got to hear this because Mark is the deer doctor, you know? And he's like, so Jim played 20 years in the MLB, was a 12-time All-Star, did everything but win a World Series. And I'm like, okay, like, I understand. What did he tell you? He said, when I stepped in the batter's box, one thing I always told myself was slow the game down. And sometimes the game will go very fast, but your brain's got to be operating at a pace where the game, even though it's going fast,
your brain has to be moving faster.
So the game is right.
Yeah.
So in those moments, like, you were just slow. Yeah. Like, you weren't there. You were not there, and it was gone.
Well, and then once I got there, I pulled back and then used the wrong pin and shot over his back.
Right, yeah, and he'll do the same thing too, whether he wants to admit it or not. It's just part of it. There'll be a moment where you're like, should I do it yet? And I'm like, dude, the moment's gone. You should have done it 5 seconds ago, and you're over here debating if you should do it now. Yes, you should have done it already. You know what I mean? Like, that's just that part of it. And we'll be here for you on it. And to be honest, I think you'll have better learning curve because all those things I talked to you guys about, this is what's fucked about me, unfortunately. I learned all those things by myself. By myself. A lot of people are like, who you learn from? I didn't learn from nobody, dude. I don't mean like that in a cocky or boastful or pretentious way. Nobody sat me down to talk to me about this or talk to me about that. I learned from all of those failures all by myself, all through the pitfalls of watching somebody talk about what they went through as well online too.
That's because nobody wanted to talk to you.
Maybe. And that's fine too. I'm a self-learner. Yeah. Screw you, Chad. No, but yeah, no, it means more to me to actually learn that way. And not that you shouldn't. I don't want you to learn that way. Because it's going to take longer in time duration for you to arrive to the execution points that you need to. It's just that
you earned it.
I earned it. And when I'm telling you it, I mean it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean it from my failures, not from my successes. I don't mean it from, woe is me, look what I've done. I mean it from, dude, I've done wrong. Like, let me tell you what I've done here. Like, I don't mean that from a pretentious standpoint. And that's a good point. You know, I did earn it. I earned it, you know.
You learn more from your mistakes than you do your successes.
Michael Jordan says that all the time. Michael Jordan said that all the time. You know, one of my favorite quotes from him, it was, I failed over and over and over again, and that is why I succeed. You know, within that quote, it talks about how many game-winning shots he missed, how many free throws he missed, how many dunks he missed, how many timeouts he burned he shouldn't have, and that's why he succeeds, because he realized what he needs to do to get to that point to be successful, you know. You boys got anything else to add before we wrap it up?
No, just
Cheese?
ready to get back out in the woods, dude.
Man, I wish we could tell y'all where we're going, but I'm glad we can't. Because I don't want y'all's redneck butts out where we're at.
And I'm sure we'll take some pictures. And
we'll take some pictures. We ain't not gonna do no disclaimers, because I can tell you that. I will say this. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not, because that'd be a dead giveaway. But just know that we're gonna pull a swamp donkey off of it. We will. Mark my words. Whether it be Cheese, Chad, or I, we'll do it.
Yeah, and that's one other thing is going into different terrain that I've been hunting. Either the staging area of fields
Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
hunting, like I call it the triangle of death or triangle of movement. But
Yeah.
I try to set up in between the bedding, the food, and the water.
Smart.
So you catch them on that trail, whether they're
To or
going to
fro.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To or fro.
they're going to food, they're
Yeah.
going to water, they're going to their bed. But going into different terrains, maybe like, sitting on a river bottom, hunting off cattails, or,
Yeah. I'm
like
excited to try and do that
like
too.
hunting public
Oh,
does a
public.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And, where, we're not going to be spotting and stalking like they do because they're crazy.
Zach's crazy.
Yeah,
it's mainly Zach.
He's unbelievable at it.
Yeah, it's mainly Zach. Zach's unreal.
But just getting into different terrain that I have not hunted yet and trying to throw see how it goes.
Yeah. No,
Throw
I'm
down
excited.
the
I'm
gauntlet.
excited for the camaraderie. I know that sounds so cheesy, but like I've been an isolated deer hunter for years now.
Yeah, and
Like I've been a closet big buck killer for too long, and I'm tired. Matter of fact, if I didn't kill a big buck this year, if you ask me if you think I'd be mad, I would not.
well, I know you because 2 years ago you didn't shoot anything but does, but
I was not happy then. I was not, and I whistled one through. I have a buck that should be on my damn wall. Sorry, thank you, Cheese, for bringing up bad memories. Sorry, know what? We'll go into this real quick. Yeah, 2 years ago in 2022, I didn't kill a big buck, and it was killing me. And I finally got an opportunity late December, and I had a big buck, and I was shooting fixed blade at this point. This is what got me off fixed blade. And I shot back because I made a bad shot because I was all jacked up. I was so jacked up when this thing was standing in front of me. And I shot him damn near through the freaking stomach. And I thought, as soon as I shot him, I hung my bow up and I was like, And I called the dog and called my boy with the dog. And then it started monsoon and storming. Didn't find it. But yes, yeah. No, but that was a great learning curve for me because it realized it's not about killing big bucks. Dude, if you have that whole year, that's all I cared about. And guess how that worked out for me?
didn't work out. But you still filled the freezer.
I did feel
And
freezer.
that's also a good thing. But yeah, without a doubt, camaraderie. Like you only get to play sports for so long in your
Oh, yeah.
life, and then you got to find something to fill that hole. And without a doubt, your friends, they come, go, move on. But hunting is a time that you can get back with
The boys.
the boys, and you can have your good times. You
Well,
can
dude,
have
yeah.
your camaraderie. You can also,
Yes.
you can celebrate something with them that you guys have worked together for a long period
For
of time.
times, yeah.
And like coming up to Illinois every year for the last 3 years has probably been the highlight of my year
Sure.
for the last 3 years.
Me too. You
Yeah.
coming up there, I've looked forward to that. Excuse me, all year long.
Yeah.
And obviously, because we're chasing big ass deer.
We talk all year long, but it's like June comes around. Hey, 3 months.
I mean, quite literally, that's it. It's just a timer. Well, dude, I'm glad you're doing good. 3.5 months. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
no,
ready to go.
I am seriously. I know he's. I am excited to see if he catches the bug. Like
He will. He will.
he will
Like-
definitely catch the bug.
Like, I didn't-
it will be bad. He'll be like, okay, I'm in.
Well, we won't see him because he'll just be on his land catching the bug.
I think after we hunt his land a couple times, I think he'll realize that that's more of an adventure of hunting public land. That is not an adventure.
No,
you going
no.
out and it just isn't. It just, I mean, it'll be a good time. We'll kill a deer or something out there, but like doing what we're doing, pinching tents, throwing a campfire, going on public land, scouting together, doing it for the weekend, and then coming back. Dude, you'll have so much fun doing that.
But here's another thing I think Chad can really make him catch the bug is if he takes a camera out there.
Oh, that's his passion.
And if he he doesn't even have to hunt.
I've thought about that.
He
He can
doesn't
just
even
hop in
have
a
to
tree
hunt.
with
Well,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he'll soak it up.
I think
Soak
that's
it
where
up.
it'll start for you. Because to be honest with you, I can't seem to get him to pull. Which are you going to pull the trigger on a saddle?
Yeah, probably. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so.
Well, I mean, we got to get you on the saddle. But I mean, I know that answer's a definite yes once he gets in front of all these. You just don't know what you're missing. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. But I mean, the second you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm grateful for that opportunity.
Now, just real quick, not that we have to, we can get into it in the next show, but Nolan says be sure to ask Drake about the story of the Deer of Steel.
Oh, we already
Oh
talked about
my
it.
gosh,
Didn't we already talk
Nolan.
about this?
No, you didn't. You tried to bring it up earlier. Gosh, dang it,
So we
Nolan.
can bring that up on the next show.
No, let's just do it now. I don't know where are we at on our time. We okay?
We are at, if this is correct, I'm seeing we're about at like 40 minutes.
40. Okay, that's all right. Who cares at this point? We're
It's just
rolling.
stories
Yeah,
now.
it's just stories now. Well, I'm going to tell you about it. Okay, so November 9th, I'll remember the day because we had the week off. We had a full week off from November 3rd through about the 11th. And November 9th this year, there was a huge cold front that came through Illinois. And we looked at it. It was on a Thursday. This is how my memory is that sharp when it comes to this stuff. It was on a Thursday, and we knew there was going to be a massive cold front that came through. Well, I actually had a doe come in, and we hadn't killed anything all week. We watched does pass by, small bucks, does. And that day we committed to whatever's in front of us, we're killing, doe or not. So a doe came in front of me, smoked her, man. It was probably, 5 in the afternoon at this point. 45 minutes later go by, and now we're at about 20 minutes before sunset, so I whip out my antlers. I'm like, what a perfect time. November 9th, 20 minutes before sunset, cold perfect time. I rattle my nutsack off, dude. Rattle, put my antlers up. And I'd say about 3 minutes later, 2 bucks come running.
You had that little 8.
No, it wasn't little.
A big,
Big,
nice 8.
Yeah, nice 8 with crooked brow tie. Anyways, what? 2 deer come down the hill. A massive stud 10-pointer we call field goal post because it looks like he's got a field goal post attached to his damn head. And then another one we call crooked brow tine, which is a big 8-pointer. It has massive crooked brow tines. Those 2 come running down the hill. The crooked brow tine staying at the top. And I see the 10-pointer coming down the hill, so I pull my bow back. And thinking he's getting ready to come in my shooting lane because that's where he's running to, right? I mean, he's running like Barry damn Sanders in this bitch. I mean, he's running that fast. I'm like, okay, here we go, pull back. You remember that moment where you said, man, the spike was dogging the doe, you didn't want to hurry? I knew I had to pull back. I'm like, pull back now. So I get my bow pulled back, and he stops right behind me. I'm like, why the hell did he stop? And I even look back at him like this, and he's looking up the hill. I'm like, oh, he doesn't see me. He's down here because I was making a scene. So then I do this number. I turn and look at him, and he starts taking 1 or 2 steps. Well, I'm on my saddle. Now that I've made this, 70-degree turn, not a full 90, but, from here to about here, about a 70-degree turn. Now I'm saddled up on the side of my platform. Yeah. And I can't line my bubble pin and my housing up, dude. Like, that's how twisted up I was. I was like this. I'm like, you're there. And I'm like, just my brain's doing this to me. This is what happens. So I want to give everybody a piece of advice. Unless you're certain it's not there, just take your time. My brain was like this. I think it's there. You should let it go. And I did. I listened to my subconscious, and I should have just seen it through like a gangster and been more calm and cerebral in that moment. Shot him right on the shoulder. Thanks, Nolan. And then this is 7 yards away, by the way. This deer is 7 yards away from me. And then the arrow comes right back out. By the way, I shoot a Matthews V3X with a 75-pound insert with a 30.5-inch draw. It don't get much more thumping than what I've got going on. Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, my bow could kill an elk. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. My bow is rigged up right now to kill an elk. It just is. It shot that deer right in the scapula and came right back out. Out of all years I've been hunting deer, never seen anything like it.
Oh, and I remember picking up the arrow and still seeing the threads inserted into the arrow.
Yeah.
It broke right where the threads meet the ferrule, so it only went in like the length of
the broadhead.
The broadhead.
The broadhead is in him.
Yeah, and you always hear stories about people skinning deer, and you have to watch it out.
That deer, he's carrying it. Yep.
Whoever's gonna shoot that deer, if it's not you, you're gonna have to watch out for that broadhead because It stuck in his front shoulder.
Which we'll save this part. Thank you, Nolan, for that. But we'll save this part for the next time, which will bring us into a conversation of fixed blade or mechanical. Boy, hey, cheers. Thank you for coming on here, man.
Oh, yeah.
Chad, thank you for running it. Appreciate you. And cheers, boys. Thanks for everybody who's liked, subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead. Every week, coming right at you, a podcast talking whitetail while we drink a cold beer. We'll be publishing stupid little shorts regarding archery content, man. Crack a beer, boys. Enjoy it. Cheers, fellas.